Marcellus, get us rolling. Should Bill Self leave for the NBA after this season?
No, not at all. Especially using this incident to start that movement and start that energy. I would stay still. He makes $4 million a year. That's top 5 in basketball. Let's talk about his job security, which you are afforded at a blue blood that he's at in Kansas. And that job security makes me want to stay and makes it more attractive to just keep going with the status quo. Look at it. It's a down year for Duke. It's a down year for North Carolina, Kentucky. You take advantage of those situations. And in the end game, this is still the 3rd-ranked team in the country. So do we blame a Mike Tomlin when we watch a Mason Rudolph swing a helmet? How much do you put on the coach? This game was basically over, and the player went out of bounds, and out of bounds in terms of ethics, in terms of what you're supposed to do in sportsmanship. So this shouldn't land fully on Bill Self. Tremendous coach who won a national championship, been to 3 Final Fours, and overall is still doing the end game in the end job.
Myles Garrett swung the helmet in Freddie Kitchens, but go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
The question is, if he were to go to the NBA, would there be a head coaching spot available? Now, Bill Self is very close with R.C. Buford of the San Antonio Spurs. R.C.'s KU roots are very deep, and those guys are very tight from what I understand. That's not necessarily an opening. Are we talking about him coming and joining the front office or taking an assistant coach's job? Now, the Spurs have done that. When Quinn Snyder, things got a little tough for him, that was a place. Jim Herrick got a job with the Spurs. They've been known to be a safe haven for college coaches who need a little timeout or maybe a little rehab. As far as, and the Spurs have a lot of people from their tree that run other teams. But as I look across the board at those teams, none of them are looking for a head coach. So if Bill comes in, is he willing to come in as an assistant? Is it a matter of just getting out of
We got 2 different narratives on Bill Self.
Okay.
And you can push back because I may be wrong here, but my narrative is Bill Self is such an accomplished college coach. And if you know his work, he's not just a candidate for jobs connected to the San Antonio Spurs. He would be the best available coach on the market, probably not named Ric Pitino, and Ric Pitino's not going to the NBA. To me, he's the best. He's a candidate for any job in the NBA.
His ability to get a job that's going to give him the security, that's going to top what he has in college basketball, I don't know that he's going to find that.
The opportunity's missing.
Yeah, somebody may give him a shot. Somebody may want to hire him as a head coach. Yeah. They're not going to give him the Mike Krzyzewski sweetheart deal. And here's the thing. Even Coach K said, you know what? I know where I'm king. It's college basketball. As good as Bill Self may be, the NBA is an entirely different animal. And I've seen it swallow up plenty of good college coaches who weren't able to operate, and they were never quite the same.
The guy won 14 straight conference titles. And I'm stressing that point to say he can go coach the Sacramento Kings for 3 years. He can go coach my Indiana Pacers for 3 years. He can go to Charlotte and coach for Michael Jordan for 3 years, flop, and get a huge Power 5 conference job back in college after the smoke is cleared. Going to the NBA doesn't end him as a head coach. It just says 17 years here at Kansas. And again, I know that fan base, that crowd quite well. They like the Snoop Dogg thing, the NCAA investigation, the kids and just the way they want to be perceived, they're uncomfortable right now. And if Bill Self needs to go take a timeout and see if he's a great NBA coach, which I think he would be, this is the time to do it. And then he can still circle back if it doesn't work and get a great college job.
Is there enough smoke from this situation? I think right now they're telling on themselves in terms of trying to register what the blowback is. Therefore, the suspension is indefinite.
Right.
You're talking about.
How long does it have to be?
Yeah, how long does it have to be based on how you guys are responding?
Right.
The Snoop Dogg situation was a misstep from top to bottom. One, the kids weren't even wanting Snoop Dogg to come out there. These kids are in their late teens, early 20s. They get mad when they see Game or someone from the 2000s or 50 Cent, let alone Snoop from the 90s. So that was just a misstep. That doesn't land on Bill Self. Why would I want to voluntarily take a step a timeout when I'm not going to get forced out from a job this secure and this.
Well, what I'm saying is, and again, it's not about the kids. There are 100 Kansas basketball boosters, alums, season ticket holders who really matter. And among that group of 100 people, they're like, the brand of Kansas was Roy Williams and Jock Vaughn and Jock and the Beanstalks, and we're Duke Midwest, and this is how we see ourselves. Kansas keeps creeping further and further away from that. And as long as they were winning titles, 14 straight and 3 Final Four appearances, everything's all good. But when you couple that with an NCAA investigation, this is Larry Brown all over again, and Self is off the Larry Brown tree. It was the NCAA heat that made Larry Brown, who jumps anyway, but that's what ended things at Kansas, and it was great. He took them to a national championship with Danny Manning, blah, blah, blah. But did he really fit the brand of Kansas the way Roy Williams did and the way these fans perceive themselves? And so, again, I love Bill Self, man. This guy is a tremendous coach. He's one of the best people I know. Sometimes the fit is not perfect in a college basketball situation where people perceive themselves one way. And then if I'm Bill Self, who rattled off all the schools? You rattled off all the schools that are down.
Down.
College basketball is down. The powerhouses, because college basketball just doesn't have the luster. And it's great that you get the $4 million payday. But I think he can go get paid a lot of money in the NBA and circle back to college basketball if necessary. I just think the allure of Kansas and winning at Kansas, the way you have to go about it, is difficult to keep sustaining this longevity that Self has.
Look, John Beeline just texted me and said, man, let me tell you how it is.
He can circle back.
Between college and Michigan and now being in the pros, it's a whole different animal. If you talk about culture changes in college basketball, let's look at Duke. And Duke used to profess, we're not a one-and-done campus. We're not a one-and-done program. They're one and done now. That's how you evolve with certain situations. And sometimes you take a turn in ethics to the point where you look at this situation, he makes $4 million a year. And you know why he doesn't make more? Because the governor voted for him to get paid through an LLC. Therefore, he's going to get tremendous tax breaks to keep him out of the state funding. That means everyone's involved in this. That means we have given you the green light, Bill Self, to do what you do. And that's being a winning program, third in the nation right now. And I think he has that support. Maybe not those 100 boosters, but the governor is even involved in terms of compensation for him.
And there's no doubt, but I don't think the relationship with the athletic director is ideal. It's not the guy who hired him. And again, I just think it's a perception thing. I want to move on to what should Bill Self do with Silvio De Sousa?
One, I think you just need to be definitive. Like, let's not grandstand. Let's not hold this guy out there in the middle of the town square for everyone to throw their shots at. This is still a youngster, 21 years old. Obviously, you don't want to throw away his career and his opportunity to evolve in his career, but suspend him for this year. I would take that as a maximum sentence. You're done for the year, not only for starting the brawl, but also trying to really escalate it in terms of picking up the chair. But I just don't like the fact that there's some pageantry in terms of his suspension, indefinite, until we find out what's the blowback and what are the real consequences. Unfair to this kid.
I think you're right. They're tipping their hand in terms of they're trying to figure out how much do we have to suspend him to satisfy the critics out there. For me, it's if you suspend him for 3 to 5 games, I am good. And let's, by the way, Kansas, let's teach our players how to dribble out the clock, because this happened against Monmouth last year. This very same thing. Blowout game. They're not dribbling out. They're dribbling out the clock. Somebody steals it and goes the other way. It's as much. I want to know what Bruce Weber's saying to DeJuan Gordon about what are we doing? We're down 21. Well,
I think he addressed that last night, though. You can't take the competitor out of these kids.
It's a Mickey Mouse. It's a Mickey Mouse move.
But
give me the competition the first 39 minutes.
Yeah,
don't give it to me in the last minute when you're down by 21. So do you want KU instead? Do you want KU instead? You know what? We're going to put it on you. We're gonna dunk on you until the very last second.
I can't beat up the kid for stealing the ball and competing to the end. He shouldn't have done it, but I'm not gonna beat him up. I'm also not going to beat up De Sousa, to be quite honest with you. I'm right there with you with the 3 to 5 game suspension. I'm going to defend Kansas's move here of the indefinite suspension. I don't think you have to make some instantaneous decision. The reason to do that is to satisfy the media. If you're really about what's best for the kid, what's best for his teammates, what's best for our program, go ahead with the in-depth, pump the brakes, take a beat, figure it out, let the Big 12 come in and say what they want to do. But with all young people, and I know what he did, and I'm not blaming Dick Vitale for being heated in the moment. If I had to be on TV in the moment, in the aftermath after that, I might have said the same thing as Dick Vitale. Having had, 12 hours to watch a bunch of tape, consider my thoughts, think of the dumb things I've done. No, I'm not for season suspension. I'm not for kicking him off the team. 3-5 games. Let's learn a lesson. The kid's already been a flop. He's learning lessons. So I'm just 3 to 5 games.
I said maximum sentence. I could hear you take me to the end of this year. Fine, that's the maximum. I understand 3 to 5, but I don't understand indefinite. One, you already saw what occurred. You've seen every single angle, every single ISO, every single shot. Stop. What are you waiting for? You're hiding behind perception. You're hiding behind criticism. You're hiding behind what others perceive the situation as. And then you're going to rule? If you've seen every angle and you know what happened, this was an occurrence. This is not an investigation. Why did you stand over him? Why did you block his shot? We know those answers. So for them to do this, they're not being genuine.
Well, I'm seriously, what if they want to do what's best for De Sousa, but again, they got their 100 or so boosters, hardcore fans. How's it going to land with them? And if they want to take their temperature, because again, the money they spend and pour into that program makes the difference and makes the experience, I would make sure that everybody as a family is on board with what we're going to do with De Sousa.
I get that, but you are, by definition, you are now handing the reins over to people outside of your program.
No, you're making the decision. You're just taking in more information. Well, y'all got kids.
Yeah.
Do you ever, discipline your kids in the moment and then the next day be like, I was a little too hard or I was a little too soft? I should have pumped the brake, and I reconfigured
But I tell you what I never do. You know what? I'm just going to think about your punishment forever, indefinitely. You're indefinitely on timeout. No, hell no. You're on timeout for 5 minutes. Sit your butt over there. That's it. This indefinite part is just so disingenuous, and they're hanging the kid out there because they don't know what to do behind closed doors.
That is the heart of it.
Yeah, well,
that's what troubles
sad.
me. It's not a matter of we're taking.
He set out for a year and a half.
He will.
It's we're not sure what to do.
Yeah.
Somebody tell us what to do. That's the vibe that I get.
And you told him 3 to 5 games.